Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine, and this is your daily show exclusive interview with Dwaine Pretorius. Now, as you know, this is all about the cover issue of the World Cup edition of the website. And we have a magazine that comes out every single month, a digital magazine that comes on the platform. It's 100% free. You guys can click the eye on the screen to obviously get access to it. But this is the main cover story, and I didn't know who else to talk to but Dwaine because of the importance I feel that his role will be in this particular World Cup, in this Proteas side. I think that he'll be the glue in the entire lineup when you're looking at the squad and you're looking at the team. But we'll get into that a little bit further when we chat to Dwaine. But first and foremost, welcome to the show. What's it like to be in UAE currently? How are you doing, Dwaine?
No, we're doing really awesome. It can't be going better. If you asked me a few days back, it would have been quite tough. Obviously being confined to our rooms for the first 6 days was quite tough. But we got through it. Fortunately, our families are here, so my little man kept me like a busy. So yeah, I was actually probably bowling more in the room than I would be bowling in the net. So actually, actually not a bad thing. So no, very enjoyable. UAE is a beautiful country. You can see there's obviously a lot of development going on here, a lot of money getting pumped into the economy. So no, it's actually going really well.
Okay, that's excellent. So I think we can go straight into today's conversation because I think there's a series of questions that I'm going to ask you that will give us a nice indication of you as a player and how you've developed over the years, particularly in the T20 format. So let's go straight into it. Let's highlight the preparation for the T20 World Cup in the UAE. Did it start from the moment that Mark Boucher walked into the job?
I would probably say no. I think my first experience with Mark was in the Test series against England when I made my debut, and very much the focus was on Test cricket. They becoming the best Test cricket team in the world, and then obviously as soon as the white ball stuff started, the focus obviously shifted towards the World Cup because we would have had Australia quite soon, and then obviously COVID hit. That was obviously something no one planned for. But since I've been back, let's say from last year, December, the focus was always trying to get into the T20 side from my side. And then obviously owning my skills in such a way that I think I can obviously offer a let's call it a package to get into the World Cup team. So that's been my focus personally. But yeah, I know Mark when it's tests, he's only worried about test cricket. When it's white ball cricket, he's worried about that. And even with the Sri Lankan one day as we had just before this World Cup, the focus was on being the best one day team at that stage. And then as soon as we finished with that, I felt the shift into the World Cup preparations, seeing what the best teams are going to be, what do we need to do to prepare well. And our focus is obviously solely on the World Cup at the moment.
Yeah, that's excellent because that leads nicely into my next question, which is, what was the initial message from the coach? How has it developed and improved since the T20 series against England?
Yeah, look, I think there was a lot of combinations tried, a lot of different bowling combinations, a lot of different batting combinations, different guys in different positions. So obviously, I think as a coach, you've got that initial experimentation period where you need to find your best players in certain conditions. And I think obviously coach went through that. And there was like a building stage, but I don't want to hide away, even though we've got a young team now. I don't think our building stage is done now. I think the players that are here will be the core, hopefully, of the white ball team for quite a while. We've got a great team. I think very well balanced, very good options in different conditions. So yeah, I think the experimentation period is done, in my opinion, and it's now time to put performances on the board. And what is nice is that obviously we've got some solid performances in T20 cricket behind us over the last few games that we've played in series. So I think the guys obviously learned a lot the last 10 games that we've played.
Mm. There are a couple of series that we can talk about when in preparation on tour to this, because this particular magazine is all about preparation. Now you get focused for a World Cup and how you get focused for a tournament like the World Cup. But when zoning in on the preparation in the UAE conditions, what did the trip to Pakistan teach you as a player in the Proteas as a unit? Because I mean, it's the first time in like over 13 years that you guys got an opportunity to go to Pakistan. So what did that trip teach you guys as a unit and as a player individually?
Well, as a player individually, obviously, I think I took quite a bit out of it. As a team, it was a very young team going to Pakistan at that stage. I think we gave a few of the senior players a rest. So it was again I think a very much experimentation tour. So as a player playing in those games, I think I learned a lot from being able to adapt with certain plans, seeing where players are scoring and where they're strong, and making sure that we can adapt to different plans, having more than one option. Just it showed that you need, if you want to play T20 cricket at international level, that you need at least 1 to 4 plans that you can execute, and it just broadened my horizons in what's needed to try and perform well. Even though you've got all those plans, there's no guarantees that you're going to perform well, but at least you've got different tools to try and combat the batters, especially from a bowling point of view. And then from a batting point of view, we thought in Pakistan the ball might turn quite a bit. It didn't really turn much. It was just a bit slower and lower compared to South Africa. If you look at the IPL, that's happened now in the UAE. That could be very much the same thing. Where in Sri Lanka, when we played there, the ball actually turned quite a bit. So you just need to be adaptable and have a lot more options than just one or two. And I think that is the whole thing that coaches brought into this space, is that as a batter, you need to be able to try and score 360. You need to have options to score all around the ground. That we started from the first white ball game that they came into the space. And then from a bowling point of view, you need to make sure that all the percentages are in your favor.
Yeah.
So I think as a unit, we've learned a lot. And I think we're definitely in a much better and stronger position than we were a year back.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, I was very sad when I heard that you weren't going to be in the West Indies, etc., and you missed some of those tours for personal reasons, etc., and things that happened. But what insight did the coaches give you and the players as well from their experiences against the West Indies and Ireland, particularly in the T20 games?
Just basically learning from all the experience that the West Indian players have, taking a bit of lessons from their bowling plans, how they bowl in their conditions. Like a guy like Dwaine Bravo, what does he do? He's not the fastest guy anymore, but he's very smart. So taking a bit from him, taking a bit from how they set up the innings is, and also obviously learning that, you know what, sometimes 160 is a good score. You don't always have to go for 200. So there's a lot of things. I think T20 cricket, obviously with England being very aggressive, everyone's tried to go that route. And I think in the West Indies, we've learned that there's more ways to win a T20 cricket match than always just scoring 200. So I think it's going to be a very interesting T20 campaign and World Cup this year. I think conditions are going to be vital, and I think mind power is going to be massive. The guys that play the big situations the best are going to be the guys that are going to be in the top 4 of the World Cup groups. And yeah, I think we've learned a lot, using our brains more than just our power and just being brave. I think being smart is the key.
Yeah, there's been a lot of change in the way you guys play spin. There is a massive improvement in the way you guys have played spin. So Sri Lanka was in good preparation in a final preparation ahead of this World Cup. Do you guys feel confident as a unit against spin? And what about this Proteas unit, this particular Proteas unit, gives you confidence coming into this World Cup campaign?
Well, what's nice about it is obviously you cannot get worse conditions than we played in Sri Lanka, but it was challenging. There was a lot of turn. They had solid players, they had solid spin players, and all the work that we've been doing over the last 2 years on our spin game. Again, Coach Bouch has obviously focused on that quite a lot. I'm trying to make sure that we've got different options against spin and not just one show ponies. So I think going to Sri Lanka and seeing how much it turned, how we coped with those conditions, and what scores we could put on the board there, and with how much confidence we dealt with that. I think coming year, we've said to ourselves, and obviously that's what I've said to myself, that if we can cope so well with those conditions, these conditions, even if they are that bad, we're still in a strong position. So I just think Sri Lanka was a great preparation for us coming year, knowing that is probably as bad as a T20 wickets can get when it comes to turn, and we coped with it well. So we got a lot of confidence out of that.
So there are some guys that have returned from the IPL. Some guys are still playing, but from the previous section of this IPL, which is obviously split up into two different sections, obviously because of different reasons. So when you're talking about the intel that you got from the IPL guys, can you tell me about some of the intel that you got for them, and from you being yourself in the UAE as well currently? What are you expecting from the conditions, and what do you expect it will be like during this World Cup?
Speaking to the guys, it sounded like obviously the conditions are quite good for batting. It's if you can get used to the pace of the wicket, you can obviously score quite a few runs. Um, Obviously, there's three venues. I think Sharjah is the one, Dubai and UAE. We play one, two Dubai and two Sharjah and two UAE. Apparently, UAE is one of the better wickets between the three. So that would be a bit more high scoring. But again, our matches, we've got a few day games. And the IPL didn't play many day games. They played a few, but not many. So the information the guys are giving us is very, very good. We're planning according to what they're telling us. And obviously with KG and Anna coming back, those are our two bowling options coming back. They'll obviously have different information to share with the bowling unit because most of our batters are back and then Shama with this spin is back. So we're waiting to get KG and Anna back in terms of bowling plans, but batting plans, the guys are planning nicely and using all the information that those IPL guys are sharing with us to make sure that we give our best chance to prepare as best as possible.
Now, after disappointment at previous World Cups, what is the message from the coaching staff and players who have played in the previous tournaments, or to get over that hurdle and finally lift that World Cup trophy?
Yeah, look, I was there 2019 and I was there 2017 with the Champions Trophy. Russia was there 2019. So we've got a few guys here, but not a lot of guys with World Cup experience, which obviously could be a big strength. So there's no real baggage that we're carrying. We're coming in here quite fresh. So I think the biggest lesson just was that, I mean, we need to bring the passion and we need to bring the energy. It's as simple as that. And with the young team that we do have and not inexperienced, but if you look at our team, we don't have as many matches as the England team or West Indian team under our belt, but that brings energy and passion. And if we can come out here, bring the energy, bring the passion and be smart, then we've got a great chance of competing very well in this World Cup. And the guys are up for it and very excited. And yeah, we've looking forward to it a lot. But not too much focus has been given on the past. We've taken a few lessons there, but the past is the past. We can only worry about it day to day, and we're going to take it match by match. And at the moment, we're in our preparation phase, and we're going to take it as it is there. We've done a lot of work in terms of how we prepare for matches, our structures and stuff like that. We're going to keep that the same so that our mentality doesn't necessarily change. We're not hyping these games up more than any other South African game. We are very proud of playing for our country. And for us, it's just as important every match that we play. And this World Cup is no different.
Excellent. So I'm happy to hear that as well. I'm excited to hear that. Let's go on to you as a T20 player specifically. I just want to gauge in on you as a player. So let's talk about your improvement first as a T20 player. And did the format come naturally to you, or was there a specific moment where you realized that you needed to improve your game maybe in certain parts of your game?
Look, I think in terms of batting, it's always been a more natural game for me to play. And the main reason there is just that I'm a power player. I'm not necessarily a guy that fiddles the ball around and rotates strike and whatever the case is. But as a batter in an all-rounder position, it always came more naturally. Bowling is probably the one where I've had to improve as much as possible and use every little bit that I can, extra knowledge that I can gain to be a better bowler. I'm not the fastest, and I'm very accurate. So in T20 cricket, that doesn't necessarily mean that is a good combination. In one-day cricket and Test cricket, that could be a good combination. But if in T20 cricket, if everyone knows what line or what length you're going to be bowling, then they can line you up. So for me, again, like I said, working on a plan B, C, and a D, and not just having a plan A, has been my biggest challenge, and something that I've worked on very, very hard the last 3 seasons. And it's all come down to this World Cup now. And yeah, I'm very happy with where I am in terms of my game, my execution, and obviously being able to execute all the different plans and using my brain as a extra part of the whole tool, making sure that me summing up the conditions, trying to understand what the guys are trying to do against me, and then trying to counteract that with good plans and good fields. That's been the biggest work that I've done.
Yeah, so as an all-rounder, of course, how do you keep that discipline equal? Like to be able to give yourself equal attention to your batting and your bowling, and to keep them at a level that you're an asset from both ends. You need to be an asset, and you need to be wanted and dangerous from with the batting and with the ball. What is your role? Do you see your role as?
It comes down to specific preparation, in my opinion, and then obviously training sessions are harder for all rounder than it is for just a batter or just a bowler. Um, and we're always the last guys out of the net, and sometimes we get made fun of because we're always the last guys out of the net. But it's one of those things that you need to take the responsibility. You need to make sure that you're preparing specifically, because you've only got limited time, especially in the World Cup. You've got a certain amount of hours in the nets, and you need to make sure that they are constructive. So for me, every net session is like a mini game that I'm playing. Again, like I say, the more plans you have, the more preparation you need to do. So if I've got 4 plans, I need to make sure that I'm preparing for all 4 so that I can count on them any time. So I can't just be going through the motions through any session. So for me, it's very specific. What am I looking to get out of the session today? And that is my sole focus. In terms of batting, preparing obviously for different situations, wherever I might bat, there's obviously different times that I might be coming in, and different situations and roles that I might be playing with the bat. So making sure again that I prepare for all of the different scenarios that could be up there. And it might mean, let's say on a Monday, I can only focus on clearing the boundary and bowling Yorkers. The next day I know, okay, I've done that on Monday, I need to focus on the other stuff. So I think it's important to be very specific at training to get through everything and make sure that you've got confidence in your execution before going to a game or into a very important match.
Now, I would like to learn some more about you with regards to your trip to England in the T20 Blast, especially, and specifically when it comes to the strategy and the style of cricket that you learned there, and comparing it to like the likes of your championship winning time with Paul Rocks and the MSL 2.0. Can you give me some specifics that you maybe learned from first T20 Blast, and specifically on strategy and style of cricket, compared to the way we play here in South Africa in the MSL, with the Paul Rocks, and what someone like your coach over there and the likes of Faf and everybody around you, what their messages were to you?
Yeah, look, so my stint in the Blast was an awesome one. Really enjoyed it a lot. Was a good challenge as well. We could say I was really good, and especially in T20 cricket. Again, probably then I was probably half the player that I am now in terms of the ball in hand. Just had my normal hit top of off plans there with the odd slower ball, and I think I got met a few times there. So obviously coming back after that in a bowling point of view, said, okay, I need to improve. What is the ways that I'm going to improve in terms of a ball thing? So I learned a lot there. Batting wise, was up and down the order there, batted 4, batted 6. So it was a bit of a mumbo jumbo there, a bit of a jumbling around. But again, like, because you're the overseas guy, there's a lot more pressure on you. You need to make sure that you either taking them deeper and then trying to finish the game off, or then accelerating when they need it. So it was a bit of a learning curve for me, especially in T20 cricket. So I took a lot out of that. And then all the learnings that I got there, I took into the Bar Rock season, the next season. And then obviously chatting with Faf and where he thought my best cricket can get played. And that is me being the aggressor and taking the game on and trying to put the team on a front foot instead of just keeping the team in the game. I think I found my calling, if you want to call it that, in terms of T20 cricket there, where I'm not scared of taking the guys on and taking the game forward. I want to, after me batting, we need to be winning the match. We don't want to be in the match and I get out. So if I get out, I must have had a massive impact or not wasted any time. So yeah, being positive was a massive thing that I've learned from the Paul Rocks. And then obviously the Paul Rocks, if you look at our team that we had there, didn't have many big names. We had a few injuries leading into that campaign, but just by being very smart and using our brains as a team and a collective, we were able to compete against some of the strongest sides. And the MSL is a serious, seriously high quality tournament, in my opinion. Having played the Blast and having spoken to a lot of the overseas players, how highly they rated the MSL. I think it just showed you that if you use your brains and be smart in a competition where there are very strong teams, you've got an ability to contend against anyone. And we definitely building our World Cup campaign on that.
I know you touched on this a little bit earlier on in the interview about the West Indies players, but I want to know because the West Indies have kind of set the bar when it comes to producing T20 cricketers around the world. I mean, you can see by the likes of Chris Gale, Dwayne Bravo, all of these guys, Russell, Pollard, all of these guys that are playing around the world. What have you learned from the Windies superstars that you have played with or against in your career so far? What have you taken from them and the way they've been successful around the world and brought into your own game?
I think myself personally, I've looked at a lot how Dwayne Bravo bowls, and then how a mixture between Kieran Pollard and Andre Russell bats, and there tends to be what do you call it? What's the right word? There tends to be a pattern in terms of how Dwayne Bravo bowls. He always bowls his 4 overs, very rarely goes for like more than 8 runs an over and picks up a few wickets. And his plans are always spot on. He mixes up his pace, his lines, his lengths. It always feels like, you know what, he's making those batters bat to their plan C's and plan D's even, not their plan A's. He's always, if he bowls to Kieran Pollard, he's been bowling to him for years. You can see where he bowls. So you can see he's a thinking cricketer. And especially if you look at his, let's say, pace profile, it's slightly quicker than mine, but very much the same skill set. So you can learn a lot from him in terms of bowling. And you can realize, you know what, you don't have to be a Anrich Nortje bowling 160 to be effective in T20 cricket. You can be a Dwaine Pretorius bowling 130, 125 and still be effective in T20 cricket and do a great job. How long has Dwayne Bravo been doing it now? For years and years and years and years. So you take a lot of confidence out of that because there tends to be a lot of focus on pace in terms of T20 cricket. So I think Dwayne has paved the way for the guys that don't have that much pace to also have a career in T20 cricket. Then it comes to batting. If you want to be that aggressive guy, if you look at a guy like Andre Russell and you look at his record, you look at the leagues that he plays, he might be playing 10 matches and he only comes off maybe 2 or 3 times in those 10 matches. Okay, but when he comes off, he wins the match. Yeah. So that is obviously something that I've taken from him. Where Kieran Pollard is a bit more measured, he gives himself a bit more time and then tries to accelerate at the back end. So for me, I want to be a mixture between the two and I want to be able to do both. I want to be able to play the situation if it's needed and also be able to accelerate when that is what the team needs from me. If someone needs to take the game on, I want to be able to play that role. And if we're in trouble, I want to be able to play the role, take it deep, and then finish the game off. So those 3 guys are the 3 guys that I've looked up a lot in the T20 cricket because I think they're the top 3 in their positions. I'm sure they probably make any team as the first 3 names down if they are available. So yeah, those are the 3 guys that I've learned a lot from.
Awesome. So finally from me, how important is the mental side of the game, particularly in the T20 format? And what can you teach us about how to stay mentally strong under pressure specifically?
Look, I think T20 cricket is one of those games that you need to get, I keep saying it, but you need to get the percentages in your favor. Because I make the first move as a bowler, and again, it's when you chat to me, it's 2 conversations. It's me talking to you as a bowler and me talking to you as a batter. So you need to get the percentages in your favor as a bowler. I'm making the first move and the batter is reacting to what I'm doing. So if I can set my field and bowl the ball accordingly, if I go for a boundary, I go for a boundary. But I'm going for a boundary where I'm happy to go for a boundary. When I'm picking up a wicket, I'm getting a wicket where I want to get a wicket. It's not necessarily a hopeful ball. It is a ball where there's a lot of purpose, there's a lot of thinking behind every ball that you do. So I think what that helps with is that even though if the ball goes for four, you're still in the fight. You're still mentally not doubting yourself. You are quite sure and you're 100% certain of what you're trying to do. And it might not work on the day, but if you go and play 10 matches and in every match, every ball you bowl, the percentages are on your favor. The more matches you play, the better your results will be because you've got the percentages in your favor. So I think in terms of a mental strength there, it's something where you can say, okay, I've done the planning, I've executed exactly what I've done, and I've gone for four. Okay, well, that happens. But if I'm going to do that for 100 times, I'm going to win the battle 80% of the time. The batter might win it for 20% of the time. So it's just that consistency in planning, consistency in preparation. And then batting wise, is slightly different in terms of the role that I play. That if I'm going to be the aggressor, that sometimes, you know what, I'm going to go at a ball that I shouldn't have gone at. But again, what's my role? Is my role to put the team in a competitive position, or is my role to win the match for the team?
Yeah.
And if that is where I want to be playing my cricket and that is my role, sometimes again, like Andre Russell, I might fail 7 times, but what happens the other 3 times when I come off? And what was nice in the Paul Rocks is that is exactly how the flow went. So sometimes I would get out early, and sometimes I would, after me batting, we would be in a position where we walk the game. So that's obviously a massive lesson for me in playing those conditions and playing the roles specifically in previous campaigns, where okay, and you can go to any player that bats number 6 and 7. Look at Hardik Pandya this year compared to the season before. Sometimes it's just not your time, but if you keep going at it and keep playing, it's all up to your role when it comes to batting. What is your role? And if it's a role that you're happy on taking on, and the coaches back you in that role, then you're gonna be okay.
Lastly, just a message to the Cricket Fanatics fans out there, the guys that are going to be supporting the Protea Fire movement in this World Cup.
Yeah, guys, look, from my side and from the team side, I can't speak for them, but I spend a lot of time with them. We are 100% committed in winning this World Cup. We're going to need your support. We're going to need your support on social media, wherever it is. Keep supporting the guys. I can promise you now, from our point of view, we will not leave that field without giving our 100%. We're obviously going to miss playing in front of our home crowds, but at least we're playing in front of some crowds this World Cup, so that's going to be fun. But yeah, guys, please pop us messages of support if you see a guy struggling. Don't just hate on the guy. Realize that this is some serious cricket getting played here against the best guys. And if we've got the biggest chance we've got to win this World Cup is with your support. And yeah, if you want to abuse us after the World Cup. But during the World Cup, please support us. Make sure that everyone knows that the country is behind us. And we'll do the same. When we're in there, we'll be playing for you. And we'll be trying to make you guys proud.
So you guys heard it. You heard the message. Subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Also, subscribe to the monthly magazine by clicking eye on the top right of the screen, and you'll get this latest issue straight to your inbox, and all the back issues 100% free. So go ahead and do that right now, guys, and do that. Thanks a lot, Dwaine, for coming on the show. Good
Thanks
luck
for
for
having
the
me.
World Cup, and we'll speak to you again maybe after the World Cup.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
See you.